Hello family, welcome to Legend Stories. Glowing Star. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button for more powerful stories. Your support means the world to us. Red Heart Hash. I almost did not go to that hotel at all. I had been running late all day. The kind of late where everything stacks up against you and by evening you are moving on pure frustration. My meeting had ended early and I decided to surprise Elliot at the conference he had told me he was attending. 7 years of marriage. I thought surprises were still allowed. The lobby of the Grand Riviera Hotel was cold and bright and full of people moving in every direction. I was walking toward the reception desk when a hand caught my arm. I turned. She was old, small, wearing a dark blue security uniform that was slightly too big for her narrow shoulders. Her name badge said Comfort. Her eyes were sharp and serious, and she was looking past me at something across the lobby with an expression I could not immediately read. "Hurry," she whispered. Her voice was low and urgent. "Is that your husband?" She turned me by the shoulder before I could answer. The elevator doors were just beginning to close. I saw him. Elliot, my husband of 7 years. His arms were around a woman I had never seen in my life. Not a quick embrace. Not a friendly greeting. His head was bent toward her neck, and her hands were in his hair, and neither of them was pretending to be anything other than what they were. My chest collapsed. Then the doors opened again, and he looked up, and he rolled his eyes. He rolled his eyes. Not with shock, not with guilt, not with the panicked expression of a man caught doing something he knew was wrong. He looked at me the way you look at a delay you did not ask for, an inconvenience that has appeared at the worst possible time. The woman beside him did not step back. She stayed exactly where she was, her hand still resting on his chest, and looked at me with the slow, unhurried curiosity of someone who had not been surprised at all. Elliot stepped forward. "This is not what you think," he said. His voice was flat. No warmth. No apology hiding underneath the words. Just a flat statement, like he was correcting a wrong answer in a meeting. My voice came out smaller than I wanted it to. "Then what is it?" He did not answer right away. He glanced at the woman briefly, just a flicker of his eyes, and something passed between them that I was not meant to see. The woman tilted her head and looked at me with a slow smile that started at the corners of her mouth, and did not reach her eyes at all. "Oh," she said, her voice smooth and unhurried. "He didn't tell you." I felt the bottom of my stomach drop before she even finished the sentence. Behind me, old Comfort tightened her grip on my arm. Not painfully, steadying, like she knew what was coming and wanted to make sure I did not fall. My throat went dry. "Tell me what?" I said. She said it like it was nothing, like she was giving me directions or telling me the time. She said it with that same slow smile and her chin slightly lifted and her eyes watching my face very carefully for the moment the words landed. "I'm his fiancé." The lobby noise continued around me. People walked past. Someone laughed near the reception desk. A door opened and closed. The world kept moving in every direction, and I stood completely still in the middle of it. I forced a laugh. It came out wrong. Too high and too quick. "We're married," I said. "Elliot and I have been married for 7 years." She tilted her head the other way, still smiling, patient, like she was giving me time to catch up. "Not anymore," she said. The two words hit me somewhere behind my ribs. I turned to Elliot. He was standing slightly apart from both of us now, his hands in his pockets, his face arranged into an expression I had never seen in 7 years. Not guilty, not frightened, not even particularly engaged. He looked like a man waiting for a difficult conversation to be finished so he could move on to something else. "Say something," I whispered. He looked at me. He did not deny it. Not a single word of denial. Not "she's confused" or "that's not true" or even a weak "let me explain." He just stood there and let the silence confirm everything she had said. The silence stretched between us like something being pulled until it snapped. I kept waiting for him to speak. I kept watching his face for some crack in that flat, detached expression. Some small sign that the man I had built 7 years of my life beside was still in there somewhere. That he would look at me and feel something. "Nothing. You weren't supposed to find out yet," he said finally. Yet, that single word did more damage than everything else combined. Not "this is not what it looks like." Not "I am sorry." Yet, which meant it was always going to happen. He had a timeline. He had a plan. And I was simply a task on it that had not been completed. I felt the air leave my body. Behind me, Comfort had not let go of my arm. Her grip tightened slightly. Not hard, but deliberate. Like she was trying to pass something steady through her hand into mine. I was grateful. My legs had gone uncertain beneath me, and I needed something real to hold on to. The woman, his so-called fiancée, was watching me with that tilted head expression. Not cruel exactly, more like curious. The way you watch something you have already decided the outcome of. Elliot pulled out his phone and glanced at the screen. He actually glanced at his phone. 7 years. And at this moment he was checking his phone. I opened my mouth and closed it again. I turned to Comfort. I needed to look at someone who was not him and not her. Someone whose face was not performing indifference or quiet satisfaction. Comfort's face was neither of those things. It was serious and sad and very tiring. The face of a woman who had seen too much and carried it alone for too long. How long has this been happening? I asked her. She hesitated. Her eyes moved briefly to Elliot, then back to me. I couldn't stay quiet anymore, she said quietly. I have seen this man come through my lobby for months. Always different arrangements. Always careful. But tonight, when I saw you walking in with your wedding ring and that look on your face, I could not just stand there. How long? I asked again. She looked at me steadily. Long enough, she said. Long enough that it is not new. Months. My mind turned that over slowly. Months of him telling me he had conferences, work events, late nights finishing proposals. Months of me setting his dinner aside and telling myself I was proud of how hard he worked and that this was just a difficult season and that things would ease up soon. Months of building a life beside a man who was building a different one somewhere I could not see. My stomach twisted so sharply I pressed my hand against it. Then Elliot spoke from behind me. His voice had changed. The flat patience was gone. What replaced it was colder. This is embarrassing, he said. Stop making a scene. I turned to face him slowly. I'm making a scene, I said. It was not a question. I repeated it because I needed to hear it out loud and understand what it meant. That I had walked into a hotel lobby and found my husband with another woman and being told I was the problem. You pushed me away, he said. His voice was steady and calm and completely without shame. You were always working, always tired, always somewhere else in your head. What did you expect me to do? I stared at him. You cheated on me because I was working. He shrugged. One shoulder. Casual. The kind of shrug you give when someone asks why you chose one restaurant over another. No guilt. No struggle. No sign that the words coming out of his mouth were anything other than completely reasonable to him. I had been working because we had a mortgage. I had been working because we had spoken about starting a family, and I wanted us to be stable first. I had been working because I believed in building something real. I had been tired because I was doing it for both of us, and he had used every late night I spent at my desk as a reason to be in hotels with other women. The woman beside him laughed softly, a small private sound, almost to herself, as if something mildly amusing had just been confirmed. I looked at her. She looked back at me without blinking. She's not the only one, she said. The words came out so cleanly, so evenly, like she had been waiting to say them and had practiced the exact right tone. My heart stuttered. What? She tilted her head again. That small movement was starting to feel deliberate, like punctuation she used before something she wanted to land hard. There are others, she said. Not just me. Others. The word hung in the air between us. Others. Plural. More than one. More than this woman standing in front of me with her hand recently on my husband's chest. More than one hotel and one arrangement and one lie. My phone vibrated in my bag. I did not move at first. The vibration came again. Then again. 3 times in quick succession. The kind of pattern that meant multiple messages arriving at once. I looked down at my bag slowly. I did not recognize the number. I opened the first message. It was a photograph. Elliot. In what looked like a different hotel room. A different woman. The photo was clear and close and not accidental. Someone had taken it deliberately and kept it. A second message loaded beneath it. Then a third. I read the third one. You're not the first wife. My fingers went cold around the phone. Not the first wife. Which meant there had been another. Which meant this was not a mistake or a weakness or a moment of poor judgment. This was a method. This was something he knew how to do. My hands were shaking. I could feel it in my fingers first, then moving up through my wrists and into my arms. A fine trembling that I could not stop or hide. I gripped the phone tighter and that did not help. I pressed my hand against my leg, and that did not help either. I stayed at the messages. 3 photographs. 3 different women in 3 different settings. A restaurant. A hotel corridor. What looked like an apartment I had never seen. And in every photograph, Elliot was present, comfortable, unguarded. Not a man being secretly captured. A man who believed no one was watching. The 3rd message had come from a number with no name attached. Someone who had my number and had been waiting for the right moment to send this. As if they had known, somehow, that tonight would be the night. I looked up from my phone. Comfort was watching me. Her expression had not changed. That steady, sad, serious face. But her eyes were softer now, full of something that looked like recognition. The woman beside Elliot was watching me too. Elliot was looking at the floor. How many? I whispered. He looked up. How many women, Elliot? His jaw tightened. He looked at me with that same flat expression, but underneath it something else was moving now. Not guilt, not exactly, but something like calculation. Like he was deciding how much to give me. It doesn't matter, he said. It doesn't matter. I stood there and let those 3 words move through me. Let myself feel the full weight of what it meant that my husband of 7 years could stand in a hotel lobby and say those words to my face and hold eye contact while he said them. It does not matter how many women. It does not matter what he did or when he did it or how carefully he planned it. It does not matter that I gave him 7 years and a shared home and every late night and every sacrifice and every quiet act of love that makes up a marriage. None of it mattered to him. That answer told me more than any confession could have. I felt something shift inside me. Not break. Something harder than breaking. Something that happens when the last illusion leaves the room and you are suddenly standing in the reality you have been living in all along, just without knowing it. I turned to Comfort. She had been holding back. I could see it. She had been standing at the edge of this conversation with her hands at her sides and her lips pressed together, and something she was deciding whether to say. She stepped forward. Elliot's eyes snapped to her immediately. Something about the way he looked at her was different from the way he had been looking at me. With me, he was bored, detached. With Comfort, something sharpened, something alert. He was not indifferent to her. He was afraid of her. I know where he keeps everything, Comfort said. Her voice was quiet, but it carried. Everything about her had changed in the last 30 seconds. The small, slightly uncertain woman who had grabbed my arm in the lobby was gone. What stood in her place was someone who had been waiting a very long time to say what she was about to say. Elliot took one step forward. Don't. Just that one word. His voice had a warning in it that I had never heard before. That low, careful tone people use when they are genuinely afraid of what comes next. Comfort did not flinch. She reached into the breast pocket of her oversized uniform jacket and pulled out a keycard, plain white with a number written on it in black marker. Room 1703. She held it out to me. I took it. My pulse was loud in my ears. I looked at the card in my hand and then I looked at Elliot, and I saw something I had never seen on his face in 7 years of marriage. Panic. Not the dramatic kind. The quiet kind. The kind that lives behind the eyes of a person who has been careful for a very long time and is watching their careful system start to come apart. I turned and walked toward the elevator. He called my name. I did not stop. The elevator doors opened and I stepped inside and pressed a button for the 17th floor and watched the doors close between us. The door to room 1703 opened on the first try. I stepped inside and reached for the light switch. The room was large. A standard hotel. Doorway. I had almost convinced myself this was a mistake, that I would find nothing. An empty room. A misunderstanding built on top of a worse misunderstanding. Then I saw the desk. It was covered. Neat and organized in a way that told me immediately this room was not occasionally used. This room was maintained. Someone came here regularly and worked here and kept things here that they could not keep at home. Photographs. Printed on plain paper. Not framed. Not sentimental. Just documentation. Different women. Different locations. Dates written in the corners. Some of the dates went back 3 years. Names in a small notebook beside the photographs. First names only, with notes next to each one. Neat handwriting. Elliot's handwriting. I would have recognized it anyway. Gifts arranged on the shelf near the window. Jewelry boxes. Scarves. A small bottle of perfume, each with a tag attached. Each tag had a name. I moved through the room slowly. It was organized. It was planned. This was not weakness or loneliness or impulse. This was administration. He had been managing this the way you manage a project. Carefully, consistently, with attention to detail. Then I saw the file. On the desk, to the right of the photographs, a manila folder with one word written on the tab in his handwriting. My name. My hands were steady when I opened it. I do not know why. Everything else in my body felt wrong, but my hands were calm and careful as I lifted the cover of the folder and looked inside. Legal documents. Several pages, printed and signed. I read the first line of the first page slowly. Then I read it again because the first time I read it my brain refused to accept it. It was our house. The house we had bought together 4 years ago. The house I had contributed to equally, whose mortgage had my name on it alongside his. The house I had painted and furnished and made into a home. My name was being removed from the deed. I flipped through the pages one by one. Each one was a different document, a different part of our shared life being quietly rearranged. Our joint account, the property agreement, a transfer document for assets that were listed under both our names, all of it moving in one direction, away from me. I turned to the last page. His signature was already there. Clear, confident, unhurried. He had signed these documents and stored them in this room, and was waiting for the right moment to file them. He was not just cheating on me. He was removing me from my own life, piece by piece, document by document, in a hotel room I never knew existed, while I was at home working late and believing in our future. I felt myself go very still. I stood in that room for a long time, long enough that the quiet stopped feeling like silence and started feeling like the specific sound of understanding something you cannot take back. I looked at the documents spread across the desk and I understood that nothing I had believed about my marriage was what I had thought it was. I had thought I was in a partnership. I had thought the late nights and the exhaustion and the this is just a hard season conversations were part of building something real with someone who was building it alongside me. I had been alone this whole time. He had been in this room while I was at work. He had been making these arrangements while I was making dinner. He had been signing these papers while I was signing off on quarterly reports and telling myself that soon things would settle down in Elliot, and I would find our way back to each other. There was no way back. He had already been walking in the opposite direction for years. I heard footsteps in the corridor. Not hurrying, just steady. The measured pace of someone who was not panicked but was moving with purpose toward a destination they had already chosen. The door opened. Elliot walked in. He looked at me standing behind the desk surrounded by his documents and his photographs and his carefully organized evidence of everything he had done, and his expression was not the flat boredom of the lobby. It was something sharper. He closed the door behind him. "You weren't supposed to see that," he said. I looked at him across the desk. I did not move away from it. I kept my hands flat on the safest beside the documents. "You were stealing from me," I said. My voice came out steadier than I expected. Quieter, not with the shaking anger I might have imagined, but with something more solid. The kind of calm that comes after shock, when the worst thing has already happened and there's nothing left to brace for. He looked at the papers, at the photographs, at the notebook with its neat columns of names and dates. He looked at all of it without any particular expression. Then he shrugged. That same single-shoulder shrug from the lobby. "It was always going to end," he said. "I was just making sure it ended properly." Properly. He used that word, as if there was a correct procedure for what he had been doing, as if this room and these documents and these women were all part of a sensible plan that a reasonable person would understand. I looked at him and I tried to find the man I had married, the man who had held my hand in the hospital when my mother was sick, the man who had stayed awake with me the night before my biggest work presentation and made me tea and told me I was the smartest person he knew. That man was not in this room. He said something else then. Something quieter. "You made it easy," he said. He was not angry when he said it. That was the thing that was hardest to carry. He was almost gentle. The way you are gentle when you are delivering a fact that you believe someone should have already understood. "You trusted me," he said. "You never checked, never questioned. You just believed everything I told you because that is who you are." He said it like it was an observation, a character analysis, like he had studied me the way you study a system you intend to use, and he was simply acknowledging its mechanics. I opened my mouth. I wanted to say something, something that would reach him, some combination of words that would crack through whatever had replaced the person I thought I knew, some way to make this moment real to him the way it was real to me. But he turned away slightly, toward the window, and I understood that nothing I said would land the way I needed it to. Then, behind me, the door opened. Comfort walked in. She did not look at me first. She looked at Elliot with an expression that was completely different from the quiet steadiness she had shown in the lobby. This was something older and more certain. The look of a person who has done a great deal of waiting and has just reached the end of it. She was holding papers. "That's not true," she said. Her voice filled the room. She was talking to Elliot, but she was walking toward me, her hand extended, holding a set of documents that were clearly different from the ones on the desk. These were older. The paper had the slightly worn quality of documents that had been handled, referenced, kept carefully. She placed them in my hands. I looked down. They were the originals, the real originals of every document he had in his forged versions on that desk. The original deed to our home, the original joint account agreement, the original property transfer agreement we had signed 4 years ago. My name was on every single one. Only my name. Not removed. Not transferred. Not quietly rerouted to somewhere I could not follow. My name. In the place where it had always belonged. I looked up at Comfort. She nodded once. Then I looked at Elliot. He was staring at the documents in my hands. And I watched the confidence leave his face slowly. Not all at once. It went the way light goes at the end of the day. Gradually, steadily, until what is left is something much darker. His jaw tightened. I turned to the desk and held his forged documents beside the originals. "You forged everything," I said. The words were quiet. I did not need to shout at them. He said nothing. For the first time since I had walked into this hotel, Elliot looked afraid. I watched the fear move through him. He was trying to control it. I could see the effort. The same jaw tension he used in difficult meetings. The slight stillness he went to when he was managing his reactions. But this was bigger than anything his composure had been built to contain, and it was showing. "Those documents mean nothing," he said. His voice had lost its steadiness. A small roughness had entered it. "There are legal processes. You cannot just..." "You forged my signature," I said, "on property documents. That is a crime, Elliot." He stopped. The word crime settled in the room. And then, from somewhere outside the window, I heard it. Faint at first. The sound of sirens, distant and approaching. The particular rising tone of vehicles moving with purpose through city streets. Getting closer. Elliot heard it too. I saw it in his eyes. The shift from managing his expression to listening past it. "That's probably nothing," he said. He said it to himself more than to me. Comfort stood near the door with her hands clasped in front of her and her expression completely unchanged. That steady, patient, tired expression. The expression of a woman who knew exactly what was about to happen because she had made sure it would. I looked at her. She looked back at me calmly. The sirens grew louder. "I reported him," she said. I turned to her fully. "You did what?" She looked at me without apology and without hesitation. 2 weeks ago," she said. "I went to the authorities. I gave them what I had. They needed time to gather their own evidence before they could move." 2 weeks ago. She had been carrying this for 2 weeks, coming to work every day, watching Elliot walk through the lobby she guarded, saying nothing, waiting. Before. I said, I had heard her use that word earlier in the lobby, and I had let it pass. I did not let it pass now. "You said you had seen this before." She was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I was married once. A long time ago. A man who kept rooms like this in hotels I never knew about. By the time I found out, everything I had built was already gone. There was no one watching. No one knew what they were seeing when they saw it." She looked at Elliot, then back at me. I have been watching ever since. The room was completely still. Then, from the corridor, the elevator made its sound. The familiar mechanical settling of something arriving at the 17th floor. A ding. The doors opened, and I heard footsteps. Multiple sets. Measured and unhurried, moving toward room 1703. The door opened without a knock. 2 police officers walked in. A third stayed in the doorway. They were not rushing. They moved with the careful calm of people who knew exactly what they were walking into and had no reason to hurry. Elliot straightened immediately. I watched him transform in a single second. The fear tucked away. The composure retrieved. The same flat confidence he had shown me in the lobby suddenly back in place like a costume he had put on and taken off. So many times the motion was automatic. "Officers," he said smoothly. I think there's been some confusion. Whatever you've been told, this is a private family matter. One of the officers looked at him briefly, and then turned to Comfort. Are you Comfort Adorgo? I am, she said. The officer nodded and looked back at the room, at the desk, at the documents spread across it. I stepped forward. It is not a misunderstanding, I said. Elliot's eyes cut to me. This is a pattern, I said. My voice was steady. I kept it that way on purpose, kept it level and clear, because I wanted every word to land exactly where I meant it to go. I have evidence that he forged legal documents to remove me from property that belongs to me. I have photographs showing multiple women. I have messages from at least one of them stating that I am not the first wife. The officer looked at me, then at Elliot. Elliot's smooth expression had developed a crack in it. The woman from the lobby appeared in the doorway. She pushed past the officer who was still standing there and stepped into the room, and she was not wearing that tilted head smile anymore. Her face was open and unguarded in a way I had not seen from her before, stripped of its confidence, showing something raw underneath. She looked at Elliot. You lied to me too, she said. It was not a question. Her voice had a quality in it like something tearing cleanly along a seam it had held too long. Elliot said nothing. You told me she knew, she said. Her voice was rising, not with anger yet, with the specific desperation of someone whose carefully held version of reality is collapsing. You told me the marriage was already finished, that it had been over for 2 years, that you had tried everything and there was nothing left. Elliot still said nothing. You told me I was not hurting anyone, she said. You told me all of this was already decided. I looked at her. I did not feel triumph. I did not feel vindicated. What I felt, looking at her standing in this doorway with that raw expression, was something closer to recognition. She had believed him too. She had trusted the story he gave her because he told her convincingly, and she had no reason yet to doubt it. She pulled out her phone with shaking hands. I have proof, she said. Her hands were not steady, but she was determined. She pulled up a series of messages and held the phone toward the officers. One of them stepped forward and looked at the screen carefully. The messages went back over a year. I caught fragments as the officer scrolled through them. Promises, plans, a timeline Elliot had given her that involved the two of them and a future he had apparently described in detail. A future built on the story that I was already gone from his life. Then she swiped to another folder. Screenshots of messages between Elliot and women whose names I did not know, sent to her over the past several days by the same unknown number that had sent me the photographs. Someone had been sending evidence to both of us simultaneously, preparing this, making sure that when tonight happened, there would be more than one person in this room who understood the full picture. Same script, she had said earlier. Different women, same script. I understood now what she meant. Every woman in that notebook on the desk had received a version of the same story. The unhappy marriage, the wife who had checked out, the relationship that was already over in everything but paperwork. The same careful lies are arranged to remove whatever guilt the other person might have felt. He had done this over and over and over again. The officer looked up from the phone and nodded to his colleague. His colleague moved toward Elliot. Wait, Elliot said. Wait, listen. His voice had completely changed. The smoothness was gone. The flatness was gone. What was left was something urgent and slightly breathless. The voice of a person who is used to being in control of every room they walk into and has just realized that control is no longer available to them. This is being misrepresented, he said. All of this. The documents are draft. The photographs are out of context. I can explain every single thing in this room if you just give me. The officer placed a firm hand on his shoulder. Elliot stopped talking. The second officer produced handcuffs. The click they made when they closed was small and precise, and it filled the room in a way that a much louder sound could not have done. Elliot looked down at his wrists. Then he looked up, and for just a moment, his composure was completely gone. Not replaced by guilt or remorse. Replaced by something I could only describe as disbelief. The genuine, unguarded disbelief of a person who had believed, at some deep level, that this could not happen to them. That they were too careful, too organized, too good at managing everything. He looked at me one last time. His eyes were different from anything I had seen in them in 7 years. Not the husband I married. Not the bored stranger from the lobby. Something stripped of all its performance. Looking at me across a hotel room full of evidence of everything he had done. You think this is over, he said. His voice was low. Controlled again, that composure coming back by force of habit even now, even with his hands cuffed and officers on either side of him. I took one step forward. "It is for me," I said. No shaking, no tears. I noticed both of those things about myself at that moment, not because I was numb or because the grief had not yet arrived, but because I had moved through something in this room tonight that had changed the quality of what I was feeling. It was not the jagged, collapsing feeling from the lobby when I had first seen them in that elevator. It was cleaner than that, clearer. He studied my face for a moment. He was looking for something, some sign that I was performing steadiness and that underneath it I was falling apart and he still had power over me. He did not find it. I held his gaze and I did not look away, and I did not give him the satisfaction of anything crumbling in my face. The officers guided him toward the door. The woman who had called herself his fiancée pressed herself against the wall to let them pass. She was crying now, quietly, with her arms wrapped around herself, and I understood that she also had things to untangle that would take a long time. The door closed behind them. The room was suddenly very quiet. I turned to Comfort. She was standing near the desk, looking at the documents still spread across it. Her uniform was still slightly too big for her. Her name badge still said Comfort in plain black letters. She looked exactly as she had when she had grabbed my arm in the lobby, small and serious and very, very tired. "Why did you help me?" I said. She looked up. Her expression shifted into something softer, not quite a smile, closer to the expression people make when they remember something painful and have made peace with it. "Because no one helped me," she said. Those 5 words carried the weight of a story much longer than tonight. I heard years of them. I heard the version of this room she had stood in alone, with no one to hand her original documents, no one to steady her arm when her legs went uncertain, no one watching when she needed it most. She had been Comfort, the security woman, in this hotel for long enough to see patterns, to recognize the careful man who came and went and kept a room, to know what it meant when a woman walked through the lobby with a wedding ring and a trusting face, heading towards something she did not know was waiting for her. She had stayed at her post until she could do something with what she knew. I stepped forward and I held her hand. She looked down at our hands and then she looked back up at me and something in her face released, very slightly, like a breath she had been holding for a long time. Then she picked up her jacket, straightened her badge, and walked out into the corridor. I watched her disappear toward the elevator. I stood alone in room 1703 with his evidence and my originals and the quiet that follows when something long and complicated finally ends. Weeks passed. The legal process moved the way legal processes do, slowly and with a great deal of paperwork, but it moved. The forged documents were examined and compared to the originals Comfort had preserved. Experts confirmed what I already knew. His signatures and my forged signatures were analyzed, verified, and recorded. The case built itself from the evidence he had carefully organized and stored in that hotel room, never imagining that the very neatness of his system would make it easier to dismantle. The property remained mine. The accounts remained mine. My name stayed exactly where it had always belonged. I stood in my home on a Tuesday evening in early December. The light through the front window was the particular amber color it goes in late afternoon in winter, and it fell across the wooden floor the way it always had, familiar and warm in mine. I had repainted the hallway, a different color from the one we had chosen together, something that belonged to me alone. I set my keys on the table by the door and I stood in the quiet, and I thought about Comfort. I had sent her a letter, a long one, handwritten, and she had sent one back, 2 pages in neat, careful handwriting. She was well. She was still at her post. I thought about the lobby, the elevator, his rolled eyes. I thought about her voice, that quiet, urgent whisper that had stopped me before I could walk past without knowing. "Hurry, is that your husband?" I exhaled slowly. I looked around my home, my name on the deed, my life exactly where I had left it, intact and whole and waiting. Not anymore, I thought. He was not my husband anymore. And this time I had not just